Welcome to the I Didn't Know What the Fuck I Was Doing podcast.
We're your hosts, Teresa
and David.
This is the podcast with two ADHD entrepreneurs
who've made a lot of mistakes.
Each week, we discuss ways to navigate business, relationships, and health.
We also interview excellent guests who share their own personal IDKWTF stories.
Listen today so you can hear some relatable content
as we normalize uncertainty and obstacles.
Because it's important to admit that no one really knows
what the fuck they're doing. Welcome back.
Welcome back to part 2.
Oh, yeah, part 2.
Part 2.
So the last episode, we covered kind of stress, what it is, how we feel it, I guess, right?
Yeah, like physiologically, how it shows up in our body.
Yeah.
And that lots and lots of stress or stress over time that is happening, whether you think it is or not, can lead to what's called burnout, where you just it's just a collapse. The collapse of your mental well-being and your ability, or your physical well-being and ability. Either or, could be both.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, yeah. Well, so I wanted to start off this episode and ask you, so naturally, when you're feeling stressed, what do you do to deal with it?
I drink.
That's fair. No, I think that's an answer that a lot of people would give is I have a glass of wine, I have some alcohol. I get that it takes the edge off. That is not one of the ways to physiologically remove stress from your body. No, it's actually because if you're super stressed, like we talked about in part 1, there's a lot of physiology that has slowed down, isn't working as well. Your immune system, your digestion, your reproductive health, among some of the top.
Yeah.
And so alcohol is going to continue to suppress more.
It does.
So, yeah.
And I think that's because I talked about, I'm not always in touch with my stress and emotion. So that if I have that urge to drink, it's because I'm suppressing, right? And it's not all I do, obviously.
No, totally.
But now, honestly, that I'm older, I can't drink like I did in my 20s.
No.
And I'm hungover, and I always thought it was a joke. I thought, you're just getting old, the old man. But yeah, it's not.
No. Alcohol definitely impacts me differently too than it used to.
But I used to work out a lot. A lot. And I'd run 6 to 10 miles a few times a week, right? And I got a foot injury, so I can't do that anymore.
Oh, bummer.
This was right before 2020 as well. And so through 2020, what we talked about, I think in a previous episode, I was stressed.
Yeah.
To the point it was huge depression. And it was one reason was because I couldn't work out and I didn't know how to deal with anything other than drinking. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Drugs and alcohol, I think, are one of those, they numb you.
Yeah.
They numb you down a little bit from dealing with the stress.
Exactly. It's not a good long-term solution, right?
No.
So
it's not even really a good short-term solution. Not to say that an evening wine or whatever makes people happy. I'm not trying to shame anybody, but it's really not a solution to dealing with it at all.
Right.
And no judgment.
Yeah.
At all.
Don't judge me.
I've never been a big drinker. It's just alcoholism runs in my family.
Yeah.
And so I was always afraid of being an alcoholic. Okay. So for me, it's extremely rare. I don't usually just open up a drink and have one in the evening or something. Okay. Every once in a great while. But it's usually more, I'd like to taste that. That, or I'm having a game night and I want to drink a couple and get a little buzz and have fun.
Once again, this is why you're the responsible one here.
So, well, but this one stemmed from fear.
Oh,
so, yeah. So, this wasn't I'm choosing to do this because I want to be healthy. It was, I'm choosing to do this because I'm afraid to be the other.
Okay, that's fair.
So, but that's my story. That's my life.
That's fair. But so some other healthier things that I do, because I can't run anymore, what I really like is going in the sauna. And so I got...
sweat it out.
Yeah. And so I'll be in there for an hour and I'll stretch. So that's my go-to favorite. And I did just start working out again because it's such an excuse. I can't run, so I can't work out.
There's a lot of other ways to exercise.
And so but in my mind.
Okay, I do the same thing. Well, if your favorite thing to do is no longer there, it's a bummer.
Yeah. So I've started lifting weights again. So I do circuit training just because it's a good workout and it's not impactful on
I
your feet.
love lifting.
Yeah, do you?
I never would have
I
thought.
used to, but
A friend of mine invited me to a lifting class a couple years back before COVID.
Okay.
And like, man, I remember thinking it's a weightlifting class. Like, it wasn't. I was like, really? This is what we're going to go do? And she was like, it's an awesome workout. And I loved it.
Is it like a body pump class kind of thing? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Those are fun because it's like to the music and everyone's there.
It was, I really should have done no weights probably the first time because I seriously couldn't walk for a week because then later I found out they're like, that class does 300 squats in a class. And I was like, no wonder I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, do you want to go again? I was like, I'm going to have to heal first. Yeah. But then I was going 3 days a week. I loved that.
Okay.
Like, I haven't gotten back into it.
I really, honestly, I feel like COVID, because they shut down all the gyms, it shut down everything. Mm-hmm. Like you were building up that routine of going and then it just stopped, right?
Yeah. So you lift weights now.
So lift weights. And then the big thing that I'll do is I'll just go for a walk. And I was making a joke on the last one, but the stupid walks for your stupid mental health.
Stupid walks.
I think that's the number one thing that really does help, where it's like, where if I'm feeling just like I'm trying to work and I can't work, or I'm doing something, it's that one has triggered me more to be like, okay, I just need to go for a walk and I'll come back and everything will be better.
Yeah. I don't know the science behind walks specifically. It's interesting though that, because last night actually some YouTube video came up and it was like something about walking, 10 benefits or something. And it's like, it's very interesting because they're like, just walking is like 20 minutes a day or something. Yeah. Like all these benefits to your overall health, to lowering the chance of having like Alzheimer's or diabetes, or there's all sorts of things that.
And it's not work, right? So it's, because when I go for a run, you
do want to get your heart rate up. Like,
I think just going out.
Well, for a stroll for your mental health is one thing. Yeah. For releasing your stress, you do want to and that's like maybe 2 miles per hour. It's just like a brisk pace. Okay. Something that gets your heart pumping a little bit. You don't have to be like in a sweat or like running, but that for the stress part. Okay. But for just the mental health part, a stroll. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything else that you do to help relieve your own stress?
There are some supplements I could pop out there. So there's something called kratom. Okay. Which is really nice. So it's like, it's related to the coffee plant, but it's just kind of really helps get rid of stress. But L-theanine is one you can buy over the counter.
Totally. I've drank like tea with ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha is going to say. Like that's the best mix. Ashwagandha, theanine, and then rhodiola.
Cool.
Yeah. It's like my favorites. Those ones are adaptogens, so they actually bring the body back to homeostasis.
Cool. Okay, great. I'm like, we're going to have a whole other episode about this because I definitely want to talk more about like supplements and medications and things because if you guys don't know, David is like the supplement guy. He knows all about it.
Used to be.
Well, but you still know all of the ingredients and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's totally great. But I want to give you and everybody else a couple like very real, tangible ways to release the stress from your body physiologically.
Other than heavily drinking.
Not heavily drinking. Do not heavily drink to relieve the stress from your body physiologically.
No, so don't fight a hippo. Don't drink heavily to release stress.
Correct. Run from a hippo. And don't drink heavily to relieve stress.
Don't drink and fight hippos. That's
definitely not.
Don't do both.
No. I think you're setting yourself up for death if you do that.
Probably. Yeah.
I don't know. Let's just leave the hippos alone and the alcohol sparingly. Okay.
Okay. Noted.
That's my advice, and do what you will with it. Okay. Super simple way. If you're at work with the boss, like slow, deep breaths can signal they're not a full way to release, but it can signal to your body that you're safe and help that, like anybody knows who's had that adrenaline moment where you're like you're freaked out about something and then you know you're okay logically, but your body is freaking out. When you can regulate your breath, that helps just slow everything down.
Okay.
Super simple, and that can be done anywhere at any time and nobody will even know. One of my very favorites, and Dan, it's funny, he has a shirt that I got him that says free shrugs because, he's not a huge hugger, which I respect. Everybody has their own boundaries.
Yeah.
30-second hug. So that's literally where two people are like standing on their own body weight. So not where like you're slumped over into somebody and you're hugging like a good hug, right? Okay. And it's 30 seconds or until like your body relaxes.
Okay.
So maybe you need a little bit of a longer hug. I think like 20 seconds could be good enough, but like truly like physiologically 25 seconds or something.
It's very,
smiling about?
very funny to hug an angry partner. So like girlfriend would be mad at
They're
me.
like rigid
And I just hug her.
like holding still. Don't touch me.
Yeah. So 30 seconds, and then eventually they're just like, fine, I'll hug you back.
The reciprocated part. But like also if you're stressed or just, but seriously, it signals to your body physiologically that you're safe. Also a 6-second kiss.
Okay.
If you're down to kiss someone for 6 seconds, even if it's not like a big makeout session, but if it's just like a gentle kiss,
Okay.
a 6-second kiss.
I'll add that to my Tinder profile. Hugs and kisses for de-stressing.
Totally. They'll be like, what does that mean? Okay. X-rated. Snuggling with a human being or an animal, which we were talking about because you pet sit a lot.
Yeah.
So you get some animal snuggles.
And that was one because I have extra free time. I signed up for an app called Rover, and I'll just go pet sit and snuggle with some puppies.
Yeah.
Because I can't have them where I live right now. So
Yeah, totally. Like snuggling with them or just petting them, loving on them can help release stress.
yeah.
Let's see. Meaning in life. So for some people, that's like a religion or spirituality, but even just meaning in life, your family, your career, something that gives you a purpose
Okay.
in general, like that you can be like, okay, maybe this is going all wrong, but my family is healthy and I'm okay.
Okay.
Like those types of thoughts can help your body regulate.
Okay.
Let's see, I don't want to forget any. Oh, like super simple, positive social interactions.
Yeah.
Of
Absolutely.
any kind. Like it might be I'm upset or I've had a long day and I call and I talk to my best friend for an hour on the phone and decompress that way. Or it can just be you're stopping by the store on your way home and you smile at the clerk or have like very polite, lighthearted interactions with the people around you.
Yeah.
That also indicates to your body that you're safe.
Working retail, I feel like I have a story for all these.
That's okay. Do it.
It was like literal retail therapy. People just come in just to talk. And I felt like a therapist half of the time.
To connect with somebody.
Yeah. And because I'm nice and I'm cordial and always like friendly. But yeah, people come in and just talk.
Well,
that's
yeah,
what they
because
need.
salespeople, it's your job. The customer's always right. It's your job to get us happy.
Just be friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, for them, especially, there were a lot of older customers who probably just had no one else to talk to. They would come in and buy their supplements and then just
Have some
tell me about
connection.
their day. Yeah, 'cause
Chat.
they just need it.
Yeah. Well, and while it was great for them, it was also good for you,
Yeah, absolutely.
just to have that positive social interaction.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So a good cry. So I've noticed in my daughter, like she doesn't like to let go and cry. She feels like she shouldn't.
Yeah.
Even when it's okay. I mean, I think it's hard because she has a lot of anxiety. So we've tried to help her not cry like at the drop of a pen at school when she feels a little bit of anxiety.
Okay.
Because that's hard. But now it's almost like too far the other way where she's afraid to release. But it's sweetheart, if you just let yourself cry, like probably only cry hard for 5 minutes. I mean, maybe longer, depends on the situation. But if you let that move through, that helps release stress. For me, I'm like, if I know I want to cry, I just I have a couple like of my super favorite sad movies.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, Stepmom always gets me. That's one of my favorites.
Okay.
I mean, you could watch like a traditional like Beaches if you want to go old school. Beaches is really sad.
Have you seen the TV series This Is Us?
Yes.
That
I
one.
actually stopped watching. Like I've only watched 2.5 seasons or something.
Yeah.
Partly because we stopped with cable and then it wasn't like there was nowhere to watch it at that time.
Okay.
And then now that I have Hulu and I could watch it, I'm like, but it's so sad.
It was
Like,
brutal.
but I know I love
Like,
that
every
show.
episode is just like
Totally. Yeah. But there's certain movies or certain things that for some of us anyway, that you'll just cry at. Yeah, totally do that. A more fun, like belly laughter. So like anytime you really genuinely are just laughing, you're very amused and it's funny.
Okay.
And I feel like you can't script that in,
Right.
but it's not that fake, like, ha ha ha, like lighthearted laugh. It's really when your whole body is just, you're cracking up.
Like stand-up comedy, probably.
Stand-up comedy, or even if you just put yourself in situations with certain people that you know you can have these like fun kind of conversations and you end up laughing at each other because it's fun or whatever. That's always good. And then probably one of my favorites is being creative in any way. So doing art, making art, being artistic, because none of that is going to happen in a scary, unsafe environment. You're not going to be like, let me paint a picture if there's a gorilla chasing you. We're changing it. Hippos are scary. So are gorillas too, I guess.
Yeah, gorillas are scary too.
I know, like the ones banging on the glass at like the zoo.
Their teeth are like...
They're so cool looking though. Okay, we can talk about animals. Like,
so you'd mentioned when we were talking about this episode, you mentioned the creative thing. And I actually hadn't heard that one before. And what I realized, because I was making TikToks in 2018, 2019, but 2020 I stopped completely. And it was like, that's when everyone picked up TikTok. And so I stopped at like the time that
everybody was doing it.
But it was my peak stress time. Like I was so stressed out during that time, I couldn't even focus on being creative enough to make this thing that I enjoyed. And I never put that together.
And it's a bummer because had you been creative and put some of that, had you worked through maybe a couple of them that were like slogs, you actually might have felt better.
Absolutely.
Having created. Yeah, I always... But to me, there's also some inherent level of stress for me with making a TikTok, because if I'm like wanting to learn a dance, or if I'm like trying to say what I want to say and I want to get it, I know we have access to 3-minute videos or now 10-minute videos or whatever, but I still want it to just be 1 minute, because I know if I want people to listen, maybe they just want to listen to 1 minute. Like whatever I have in my head.
Back in the early days, it was so much less stress because no one cared about anything.
That's true. Like less pressure, because also there just was less people on there.
Way less people, and it was more just like little joke trends that we would do.
I remember the a lot of your videos. They were always funny. Like I felt like they were fun and silly and lighthearted, and they were like you playing with video techniques of how to do different stuff or different transitions.
It was all just no pressure to do anything. So
that's a bummer.
It's a little different.
That's a bummer. Because that absolutely, a creative outlet is definitely a way. Yeah. And then, as we've talked about in the part 1, it's like truly the easiest, quickest way to remove stress from your body is physical exercise. Getting your heart pumping. And it really doesn't matter what it is. You can go to a Zumba class, you can go swimming, you can go for a run or for a walk. If you take a walk, you just don't want it to be like a stroll where your heart isn't. You want to get your heart pumping a little bit. Yeah. Like you don't need to be all sweaty, but maybe just get that light. My body feels warm. Yeah. Going.
So I don't have a Tinder profile, but definitely what someone should do is be like,
I don't have a Tinder profile.
I don't have the patience for it. But if someone does, they should just put, I will be your like stress coach. 30-second hug, 6-second kiss, physical activity. Oh, snuggling. Snuggling. Physical activity.
And doing creative stuff together.
Yeah. I think it's perfect. So someone do that for me and then tell me how it goes.
Well, what type of responses do you get? Be interesting for sure. And one other thing I want to say that makes a big difference is self-compassion and self-forgiveness. Okay. Because like we talked about, a lot of times that internal stress it's heavy and it's a lot. And it's like when we can be more forgiving of ourselves and have that compassion, then it's easier. It doesn't change our motivation to do things, but it's just, I know I'm coming from somebody who's very hard on herself. Like I'm very hard on myself, but it's literally like scientifically proven to affect your hormones and affect like when you can be compassionate with yourself.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
I think those are all incredibly good tips.
Yeah. It also makes your mood better. If you're not like so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Like I think about when I'm hard on myself, like I'm grumpy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like you're gonna be like a nicer person to be around in general when you're just like, it's okay.
It's okay.
Hey, I fucked up because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like the whole point of our podcast. Like really, that's the name of our podcast, but it really is about self-forgiveness and compassion for yourself. Like
completely.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah. It's okay if it wasn't perfect.
Or even if you did, if you just messed up in that moment, like it's okay.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Agree.
Let it go. Okay, I'm not going to sing.
I thought we had you this time.
No, and also my throat is just a little low level scratchy, so I can talk low.
Well, since you're
But I'm not going to sing.
since you're not going to sing for us, do you want to take a short break and then come back with a little bit more?
Yeah, we'll come back with a little bit more.
All right.
Let's hear from our sponsors. This is a podcast for anyone looking to improve their personal, professional, or family life.
We craft these episodes so you can learn from or relate to our experiences and opinions,
And we'd love to hear more about you. So if you're interested in connecting with us further,
as well as other like-minded individuals.
we recommend checking out our creatively named Facebook group, Colorado Entrepreneurs.
You don't have to be from Colorado or be an entrepreneur to join, but it doesn't hurt.
Just go to facebook.com/groups/Colorado Biz, that's B-I-Z, and send us a join request.
Or check the link in the description and show notes below.
Thanks for listening, and now back to the show.
I'm back.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Covering all kinds of good stuff today.
We are.
Yeah.
I mentioned at the beginning of part 1, I didn't mention the beginning of this episode, but I just want you guys to take something from this. I want it. Take what works for you. I hope something resonates and you're able to like actively input it into your life. So,
And this is something you do know a lot about, so you do have an even more thorough course on it.
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And so the link will be in the bio as soon as the course is available.
Yeah. So we'll remind you again at the end, but
Yeah.
wanted to shameless plug that one out
A
there.
little plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love working with people through their like individual stuff because all of us are different. So like, I'm more than happy to like have that conversation if this is something you feel like you need extra support working through. And there's so much more that's not covered in this
Yeah.
realistically very short couple of podcasts. We've packed. Like, I'm like, how much information can I put in here?
Yeah. Cool. So we talked about a bunch of things, but are there any more big tips on how to close that stress cycle? I think you say.
Yeah, like complete the cycle.
Yeah.
I think I've just adopted that from the book that I was talking about. So for those of you that didn't see part 1 or listen to the first episode of this one, go back and listen. It has lots of good information in it. But the book that I got a lot of my scientific details, like scientific details from, is Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle by Emily and Amelia Nagoski.
I like all your bookmarks and
And there's not even that many of them. Like, it's, but if you look through this book, there's so much that's underlined and starred. And
Yeah.
I got so much from this book, and it's caused me to look into some, just be more thorough because
yeah.
I don't want to be stressed, man.
Right.
All right. So a couple more things I want to talk about. Connection with other people. So I know I got an introvert sitting right next to me. I'm very extroverted. So for me, it seems obvious that I like working with people, right? I like being around people. But all of us need connection, and our bodies are made to be in a state of like autonomy alone and then to be with people and be connected.
Right.
Like, it's something you don't even realize, but if you're, say, at a movie theater watching a movie sitting next to someone, your heartbeat will start regulating with the person next to you, even if you're strangers and you're not talking to each other. Literally, we're made of energy.
Yeah.
So, like, people get a little woo-woo, energy or Reiki, like those kinds of things. They're like, that's woo-woo.
Yeah.
There's no literally, scientifically, just sitting in the same space with someone, you're going to share that energy with them. That's why if someone's really angry or really stressed or whatever, like a lot of times you can feel that if you like are perceptive to it at all.
And that might also be a reason like you get so stressed out with your kids because they're at that age where they're stressed out all the time about like all kinds of things, right? And so it's just,
well, it's also a constant, like me, because I'm normally, frankly, like the wound up, stressed out one.
Yeah.
Like if I look at like my relationship with Dan, Dan is so chill. Oh, I picked a good one for lots of reasons. But if I'm really sad, really stressed, really overwhelmed, I just want to sit on the couch next to him.
Okay.
And I think he's very grounding for me. And I definitely think this like physiological reason has a lot to do with that. Like, of course, I trust him and can talk to him about things, but just being with him, because he's normally just so calm. Like, I absolutely am just like, absorb.
yeah, it reminds me of you're like a cat that just goes and crawls and lays on his lap.
Or a cat that crawls and lays on his face.
Yeah.
Love me. I'm on your neck. I know you're trying to sleep. I don't have cats. I'm allergic to cats, but
Yeah.
I hear this is a thing with cats.
That's the thing. Yeah.
It is a thing with cats. But yeah, I think that I'd love that you pointed out that my kids likely, because I end up very drained when my kids come home from school stressed out about something.
Yeah.
And then I'm talking to them about it, but I'm absorbing all of that energy.
Right.
And I have to really try and bring it down, tone it down, slow it down and help them.
Yeah.
And I try and teach them how to do that for themselves. But yeah, like they're still all at ages where that's heightened.
Yeah.
And also I am the more
stressful
emotional
age
parent.
time.
So
Yeah.
they definitely have this comfort level of crying or whatever. And that's fine. It's just some days I'm like, oh my God. There are days if all three of them have different stuff going on and I'm like, I can't do it anymore. It's just, I get very used up.
Okay.
Those days are hard for me because my patience level and my ability to like
Yeah.
keep on giving is very diminished. And I think that's a struggle that a lot of moms go through. I'm sure dads too, but I know specifically it's very much a mom thing. And the book that I keep talking about has referenced what's called human giver syndrome.
Okay.
And basically that's where like women just give of themselves because stereotypically in our society and historically in our society, women will just give
They're
and
the
give and
givers
give.
and caretakers.
And
yeah.
that being said, what else can we... Oh, I know what else I wanted to talk about. So rest. We need 42% of our lives to be rest.
Okay.
Scientifically. Like this isn't a like, they suggest that you get like 42% of your week is resting. Like you need that for your body
Okay.
to thrive.
Okay.
Can you survive on less? Sure. If you're surviving.
Right.
But do you want to just get through life surviving? I think a lot of us do.
I agree. Humans are very good at surviving.
Yeah.
That's like what we're really built for and adapting.
Mm-hmm.
But surviving is definitely not thriving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And I think rest also, I mean, a lot of that, a huge percentage of that time resting is going to be sleeping, actively sleeping. But
Not
everybody's,
all sleeping.
yeah, no, not all sleeping because there's plenty of things that we can do that are restful for our body. And also I need 7.5 hours of sleep. Dan needs probably like 9.5 hours of sleep if he's really getting as much sleep as he would like to have.
Okay.
And everybody's different. So the amount of exact time you need to sleep every night is a little bit different. But if you're not sleeping, say you only need 7 hours of sleep, well, where are you going to get that other few hours of rest?
So what are some of the other ways that, like, other than sleeping, that the body can rest?
Well, I mean, I think there's some obvious things, like if you literally are being still doing something quiet by yourself. I mean, if you're
Like a relaxing hobby, perhaps?
yeah, leisurely reading, painting.
Okay.
I mean, like it's also going to be relieving stress and doing that like other piece, some of this.
Okay.
And maybe not like, because sitting and reading a book isn't physiologically removing stress from your body, but it's restful
Okay.
for most people who enjoy reading.
Right.
That's something restful you could do. Or even it could be restful if, say, your job is to like, maybe you play Major League Baseball and you're out playing and maybe your fun time.
Like most of our listeners are those
Exactly.
Major League Baseball players.
Well, I was trying to think of an easy way to show, but then because there's probably other examples.
No, just keep going.
Anyway, David,
We've got high quality listeners.
we do. All the Major League Baseball players, let me know that you're listening.
Yeah.
But Major League Baseball player, that's what they do for their job. But then maybe they like love coaching their kids' like little league team.
Okay.
And that doesn't feel that's like a restful activity for them. They're good at it. They know it. But then they're helping like kids and having fun while they're doing it.
Okay.
It's not this pressure of like they're getting paid, all eyes are on them type of thing.
Right.
So you could think of any job where maybe you're working and maybe then going and working at a soup kitchen or something is like more restful for you because you're enjoying, you're giving back. You like to be there. Sure, it's work.
Right.
Right. But it's not like going to your office and working.
Okay.
So there's different ways that, and it depends on the person. Because everybody's different.
Yeah. So finding ways to give back and donate. So where you're not just stressed and taking, you're actually giving and
well, it's interesting because I don't know, like that's part of connection too, though.
Absolutely.
So like, I think, I mean, that absolutely, I think is a great way to, if volunteering your time is something that pulls on your heartstring, like, and it doesn't feel like work, like, you know, it's my dogs sometimes drive me nuts, but it's like if I want to go volunteer at like an animal shelter and walk dogs and deal with that, when my dogs, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't feel like walking them because they're going to be all excited and they're going to be pulling at first. Then they'll chill and then it'll be really great. But like, if I go to a volunteer somewhere, it's just different because my mentality about it is different. So it's like a restful activity.
Right.
So, yeah. But then also like physiologically, you may not want to be doing something restful that's like causing you to running a marathon is never restful. It's not. It's great for your stress levels. It's great for your health. If you're in that kind of shape. I'm not. But yeah, so those are some of the other ways to get rest. I mean, I don't know. What do you do to relax? I mean, the sauna thing I actually think is a really great restful,
that one's amazing,
restorative thing to be done.
Because it's just sitting. You know what's really interesting about the sauna? Like I've loved them since 2002, I think. But now it's like everyone is on their phone in the sauna, which blows my mind because my phone overheats.
Mine would too, but that's not, like, to me, that's not restful. My phone is not restful.
Right.
Like,
I think
maybe it is, but most of the time my phone is not restful.
Yeah. And I think especially because it has that blue light that stimulates your body to stay awake, which is why you want to avoid your phone in the evening, right?
I actually turn the blue light off my phone, and there's actually certain YouTube videos, they're art videos, and they're usually really chill. If people are talking on them, like it's really low key, and it's like they're talking about the art that they're doing.
Yeah.
And I actually like those right before bed, but I also have my blue light function off. Like I turn the blue light off and I'll watch 10 minutes of it, and it helps my brain stop thinking about all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Because then I'm just looking at like, the pretty art.
So I love guided meditation.
I didn't even talk about meditation. I love meditation. Thank you.
I think it's like, it's totally hit or miss with most people. I think most people aren't like meditation.
Well, you want to know, but you want to know how many minutes of meditation do you think a day do you need to make a difference in your life?
300.
2
minutes.
2 minutes.
That's not very many minutes at all.
Literally, I had the chance to talk to and meet a friend of mine. She has a very dear friend who is actually a monk. And he literally shared, like, I got the chance to be on this like webinar with him. And he literally said, he goes, people think you need to sit for hours and hours of meditation every day to get something. He's 2 minutes. 2 minutes of meditation a day will change your life. It will change your mentality. It will change how you feel. Gosh, I really need to get back to my 2 minutes minimum, because really it can be hard to sit there and shut up your brain. But
so guided meditation I love, and I have an app on my phone. And actually what I did to keep myself consistent with it, I created a shortcut on my iPhone so you can code it to do different things. So if I hit that, it turns down the contrast, it turns on the blue light, and then it auto pulls up my guided meditation.
Yeah.
And so then I just hit that and then go to sleep. And so it's like usually right before bed. And then I'll do another one right when I wake up.
I was thinking about yoga too. Because your strength yoga, no, that's not necessarily restful depending on what type of yoga you're doing. But and I'm so bad about remembering the exact types of yoga. But like just the yoga where it's really just meditation, slow movement, stretching. That's also very restful.
Yeah.
And essentially rest is to rejuvenate your body.
Okay.
That's what it's doing, is it's healing.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of sleeping, of resting, is so your body can heal itself.
I would say I also like going for a long drive, like a leisurely drive. That's one of my favorites because it's...
Does it matter? Do you need like good scenery, or can it just be anywhere? I mean, obviously maybe not gridlock traffic.
Yeah, definitely not. But, you know, like the stretch from like Castle Rock to Monument or Colorado Springs, or going out.
That's a pretty drive, though. Like, you're right there by the mountains. Like, it's actually a pretty... If it's not super trafficy, it's really a nice drive.
Yeah. Or even, like, driving at night, where there's just no traffic and just going around, seeing the lights. So, Yeah. I definitely driving, and I usually have the radio off, so I'll just drive and just kind of reminisce.
Nice. That does sound very restful.
Yeah.
I think we talked about so many things in this, like part 1 and part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you haven't listened to part 1, do go listen. It talks about stress, like how to know if you're maybe under more stress than you think you are, because it seems like real life, and all the things physiologically that happen in your body, and like why it's really important to know this and to get yourself out of that cycle and to complete it. Don't just let it hang out in your body. And then this episode talking about all the ways, like, yeah, those like 30-second hugs. It's like when I'm really stressed, it's funny because Dan will hug me now. And there are times where I'm like, okay, thank you. I know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, 30-second hug. And it's funny because sometimes we'll be hugging for a few seconds and he'll go, I wasn't counting. Do you know what we're on? But it also makes it more lighthearted. And,
right.
But so find, like, my number one tip from all of the things we've talked about is find like 2 tips in these 2 episodes that make a difference for you. If you're like, oh yeah, I can do 2 minutes of meditation a day, or I can just sleep better at night because I know now. I mean, I know you all know it's important, but like seriously, did you know that sleep is a better predictor of being diabetic than lack of exercise?
Okay.
Like lack of sleep actually gives you a higher chance of being diabetic.
Okay.
So I mean, like sleep really is, and I know people know it's important, but take 2 things that we've talked about that you could just shift for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's hugely key because everyone is so different, right? What's going to work for one person isn't going to work for another. Like some people, so many people aren't just going to sit there and meditate.
Right. They're not, and that's okay.
And it's just, they'll never do it.
Right. Just like some people aren't going to be like super creative. Like I love to be creative, but some people are just like, that's not my jam.
Yeah, I'm not going to paint anything ever.
Right. And I'm like, I want to learn how to watercolor and be really good at it. Let me be Bob Ross and make a happy little bush and a tree and a like
so
Bob Ross.
Man, so actually, check it out. This is so off topic, but I went to a port painting, like a sip and paint.
Oh, a sip and paint? Yeah.
Yeah. It was so stressful for me. That's like the most stressed I've ever been. I'm trying to do it right.
I'm planning one with my sister-in-law right now. I'm so excited to I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah. And everyone was joking because I'm so like chill and mellow.
But you were like,
why are you so, why is this so hard for you?
Okay, no more sip and paints for David.
And I couldn't get the dandelion to look like a dandelion. So she just showed me how to make it like look better. It was rough.
I'm sorry for laughing at your pain. But no, I think you're absolutely right though. And I love that you pointed out like, it's not one size fits all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Try one thing.
Right. Pick one thing, like start making it a habit because you really do want to be doing variety of things every single day to get rid of your stress. Because even if you think today was an easy day, you probably have some stress built up from yesterday or from, the last 10 years that you didn't know about this. And you haven't actively been doing things to relieve stress. So it's even if you're feeling good, hey, it might be easier instead of like, oh, I have to take a walk. You might be like, it's a beautiful day. I want to take a walk. And like, there's a reason to like move your body or, hey, this is my favorite jam. And you're like making dinner and you stop and like dance in the kitchen to your favorite song. Like
it's break. That's always good. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. So it really needs to be what makes you feel good. But that's like, I hope what our listeners get is something they can take into their life that's going to make a difference for them.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all of this wonderful information.
I love sharing about it. So my pleasure.
Yeah. And so we'll have a link somewhere to your more in-depth course, which gives more practical and I don't know. Yeah,
there's going to be some additional. One of the things I will talk about, because some of you may be curious, is what about this stuff that's causing the stress? Like my jerk boss, like he's not just going to go away. Yeah. Like, how do we deal with the actual stressors that are causing the problem? So we'll go more in depth into that. And there'll be some other things we talk about. But
cool. I'll keep an eye out for that link.
Definitely. I'm excited to share it with everybody.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us at another episode.
Yeah. Can't wait to see you on the next one.
Yeah.
And please do. I would actually love to know if you tried any tips. So like comment and let us know what you tried or what you know you already do that you love. Or if there's anything else that like you think I missed or you want to add, please. Like these episodes, I feel are so close to my heart because this means so much to me. Like I really add as much value as you can. So when someone else clicks on this podcast and they see those comments, like they can take away more than just David and I can give. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. This has been the conclusion of our 2-part series.
And hey, congrats for making it here.
If you didn't happen to catch part 1, just go back to the previous episode to get the full story.
It was a really good one.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, please consider liking, subscribing, and or reviewing us on wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Also, if there's someone you know who clearly doesn't know what the fuck they're doing and would benefit from this topic, please hit that share button and send them this episode.
Let's normalize the feeling of uncertainty.
Asking for help and admitting that we don't know
what the fuck we're doing either.